Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I forgot my reading glasses, so I will just use some extra light. No, it's okay. I think it should be okay. Should be okay. Thank you. Our loved propensity span just a vibration of light or air expands, but we do not know where it ends. The next devotion teaches the science of loving every one of the living entities perfectly by the easy method of loving Krishna. We have failed to create peace and harmony in human society, even by such great attempt as the United Nations, because we do not know the right method. The method is very simple, but one has to understand it with a cool head. The nectar of devotion teaches all men how to perform the simple and natural method of loving Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If we will learn how to love Krishna, then it is very easy to immediately and simultaneously love every living being. It is like pouring water on the root of the tree and supplying food to one's stomach. The method of putting water on the root of the tree or supplying foodstuff to the stomach is universally scientific and practical, as everyone experiences. Everyone knows well that when we eat something, or in other words, when puts foodstuffs in the stomach, the energy created by such action is immediately distributed throughout the whole body. Similarly, when we pour water on the root of the when we put water on the root, the energy that's created is immediately distributed throughout the entire or even the largest tree. It is possible to water the tree part by part, it is impossible to feed the different parts of the body separately. The nectar of devotion will teach us how to turn one switch that will immediately brighten everything everywhere. One who does not know this method is missing the point of life. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. So we are reading, is it here? Okay, I will read it with my phone, it's easier for my eyes. We are reading Srimad Bhagvatam, Canto 7, text, chapter 5, text 27. Shanti hi asadavo loke durmatrais chatma besina tesham udeti agam kale roga potakinam iva shanti yasadavo loke shantin yasadavo loke durmatra chatma vesina durmatra chatma vesina teshanudetya kamkale teshamudetya kamkale roga patakinamiva Rogapatakinamiva Shantihi Sadaboloke Durmatra Chadmaveshina Teshanudityakam Kale Ragapatakina Shantin Hyasada Boloke Durmatai Chadmaveshina Deshamudetyam Kale Rogapatamidam Kila Shantin Hyasada Boloke Durmatai Chadmaveshina Rogapatakina Shantiya Sadaboloke Durmatraya Shadma Veshina Tesha Muditya Gamkale Gampatakinaniva Tesa Boloke Durmatraya Shadma Veshina Shamiditya Gamkale Gampatakinaniva Shantiya Sadaboloke Durmatraya Shadma Veshina Shanti, Santi. Are he indeed as a double dishonest persons located within this world? Durmatra, cheating friends, Dharma Vejina, wearing false garbs, the sham of all of them, Udeti arises, Agam, the reaction of sinful life, Kare, in due course of time, Droga, disease, Patakinam, of sinful man, Eva, like. Translation. In due course of time, various types of diseases are manifest in those who are sinful. Similarly, in this world, there are many deceptive friends in false garbs, but eventually, because of their false behavior, their actual enmity becomes manifest. Per Prabhupada His Divine Grace, Siva Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Being anxious about the education of his boy Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was very much dissatisfied. When Prahlad began teaching about devotional service, Hiranyakashipu immediately regarded the teacher as his enemies in the garb of friends. In this verse, the words Rogam Patakinam Iva refers to disease, which is the most sinful and miserable of the conditions of material life. Jamma Mrityu Jara Vyadi. This is a symptom of the body of a sinful person. And the Smriti Shastra say, Brahma Kshataya Togasyat Swarupa Swadanantaka Sarvahari Tuku Tukunaki Duscharna Guru Talpaka. Murders of Brahmanas are later afflicted by tuberculosis. Drunkards become toothless, and those who have stolen gold are afflicted by diseased nails. And sinful men who have sexual connection with the wife of a superior are afflicted by leprosy and similar skin diseases. Oh, quite heavy. Right. Jantihiya sadapoloke durmatai chadmaveshina eshanudetya gampale rogapatakinam iva. In due course of time, various types of disease are manifest in those who are sinful. Similarly, in this world, there are many deceptive friends in false garbs. But eventually, because of their behavior, their actual enmity becomes manifest. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. In the previous verse we saw how Hiranyakashipu started to chastise the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, saying that they didn't perform the duty properly because they were supposed to teach them demoniac activities. And even though the teachers, they comply with that and they were teaching demoniac activities to Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj was by nature a devotee. So he didn't perform any of the sinful activities. He was just chanting Hare Krishna and performing devotional service. And this is a word thing that the demoniac father could expect from his son. We know normally father expect the same thing from a son. Like if you are a doctor, you expect your son to be a doctor. Or if you are whatever, an engineer, you are expecting that your son will be also an engineer. And in this case, if you are a demon, you are expecting your son to be a demon. And this is the case of Hiranyakashipu. He was expecting his son to follow in his footsteps. But somehow he got fired because his son was of the different nature. He was of the divine nature. As Bhagavad Gita explained, there are two types of people in this world. There are those who are divine and those who are demoniac. Hiranyakashipu was demoniac and Prahlad Maharaj was divine, of the divine nature. So they were like oil and water. They could not mix together. They could not comply with each other. They have a different interest and different vision of life. So Hiranyakashipu, while chastising Sandaya Marka, he said that you're like friends in the gulf of, you're like enemies in the gulf of friends. And this is also happen often in the material world. We consider someone a friend, but in the end it's not a friend. Or they said that, Chanakya Pandit said that you can know the nature of a friend when calamity comes. And I guess we all have somehow some experience of this. When we are in difficulties, we really understand who our friends are, isn't it? When you have problems, and then people come forward and help you, then we understand this is a real friend. But when you have difficulties and people run away from you, try to avoid you, oh no, I don't want to get entangled with these guys' problems. And then we understand this is a enemy in the garden of heaven. So it's very important to understand what is the best interest of a person. And even sometimes people chastise us, and we can detect that as an enemy. Oh, he doesn't like me, she doesn't like me, he's chastising me. But often that is for our best interest, and doesn't necessarily mean that that person is an enemy. And Prabhupada many times give example of a father. Sometimes father chastises his kids just to bring them to the right path. And Krishna sometimes chastises his devotees to bring them also to the right path. But doesn't mean that Krishna is our enemy. Krishna is always the best well-wisher. And Krishna will always do things to bring the best of that devotee. So we see in this purpose quite interesting things about the different reactions. And Hiranyakashipu is talking about disease. Let me get it back. Like he's saying that normal disease manifests in those who are sinful. And in Kali Yuga, everyone is sick because we are all sinful. We see in other ages, people live for hundreds and hundreds of years, and they were free from any disease. They have a very healthy life, very long life. But we see in Kali Yuga, everyone gets sick because of a sinful reaction, because of the lifestyle we have chosen. And here are some examples of them. They said that if you are a drunkard, maybe in your next life or this life, you become toothless. Or if you have a sexual relationship with the superior, with the wife of his superior, you will have all kind of diseases, like skin diseases specifically, or leprosy is mentioned here as well. I've never seen anyone with leprosy in the West, but I've seen it in India. You have seen it in India? No?
I don't know what it is.
Leprosy, you don't know leprosy? I'm pronouncing correctly? You've never seen in India?
I don't know.
With this skin disease, like deformed, they have deformed. Sometimes they don't have, some of the limbs are missing as well.
Like different colors in like black and white mix.
Yeah, this is what, yeah. I've never seen that in the West, but I've seen it many times in India, sometimes in India.
We know the reason for that.
Sorry?
We know the reason for that.
Yeah, we know the reason. And normally they live isolated because it's a very contagious disease. And I've seen them living like under bridges and places like that, apart from different people, but they go begging. And you see sometimes on the traffic light begging, you see they are all deformed and the skin is a mess. And this is a leprosy, and it's a very painful disease. And this is all the result of a bad karma. People perform a lot of sinful activities, and then the next life they get such type of bodies, and they have to suffer endlessly because of this skin disease and other diseases. And the bodies are not exempt from the miseries of the body. We see even great devotees, sometimes they also get sick. They could be for different reasons. Like if you are a guru, Prabhupada was saying that sometimes he was getting sick because of the sinful activities of his disciples. But Krishna sometimes also use this disease to help devotees in some way, to remember him. I remember this case of this Maharaj who was last year, he was here. What's his name? Bhakti Raghav Maharaj. Yeah, he was here for a few days. And he lost one leg. And this happened in Mayapur. Some dacoits attacked Mayapur in the 80s. I think it was 80s. I don't early 80s. That was before they installed the Nishihadev deity. And one of the dacoits shot Maharaj on the leg, one of the attackers. And he lost his leg. But he said that actually that leg was useless because he had polio on that leg. So he was practically useless. So when he was somehow, he had to suffer that reaction, but Krishna arranged it in such a way that in any way it was not such a big loss because he had polio anyway, he could not walk properly. Sometimes Krishna could arrange that our problems or our diseases, they get diminished. They said that when we perform devotional service, all these sinful reactions are madhini nirtadhiti chapati bhajan. When we perform bhajan, when we serve Krishna, all the sinful reactions get diminished. So if you had to suffer very heavy accidents, sometimes we just get just a small accident or something like that. Krishna help us to reduce the karma by performing devotional service. But sometimes the disease is not product of the karma. Sometimes it's a product of offenses. We will read soon about the offenses committed to devotees, committed to the holy Dhamma, committed to the deities in the nectar of the ocean. And the reactions can be suffered in the body as well. Like if we commit offenses against the deity, we can suffer reactions in our hands, on our feet. I remember I also had these reactions. Once upon a time, I was in a Soho, Govinda's restaurant. I was serving there, and one devotee asked me for a cup of tea. And I gave him the cup of tea, but the cup was so hot I couldn't hold it any longer, so I dropped it, and it dropped on my foot. So they had to call the ambulance. I burned my foot so badly. And I had to be 1 month without walking. And I immediately understood in that moment that this was my offenses to the deity worship I was performing at that moment. So sometimes the chastisement could be severe, but it's all for our benefit, because we should become more careful and we should try to avoid. So not all diseases are product of our past karma. Some cases, they are product of our offenses. And there is a very nice example mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, of Chapal Gopal. Chapal Gopal was a Brahmana, but he was very sinful and he loves criticize others. That was his hobby. So he started to criticize Srinivasacharya, who was one of Lord Chaitanya's associates. So when Srinivasacharya was performing Sankirtan, was performing a chanting of the holy name in his house, sorry, he placed all the items for worshiping Durga outside his house, like red flowers, red sandalwood paste, wine, red wine, because those who worship Durga, they worship with the red color, everything red that reminds blood. So he put all the items outside Srinivasacharya's house. So when people saw this, he said, what's going on? Such a great Vaishnava, but he's just worshiping Durga. So when Srinivasacharya realized that, he went out of his house, he called everyone in the village, and he said, look how sinful I am. I'm just worshiping Durga. I'm not the Vaishnava. He was such a humble soul that he was not attached to any prestige as a Vaishnava. But as a result, people came, they cleaned up all the paraphernalia that was left there, all the items for worshiping Durga. But as a result of that offense, after 3 days, Chapal Gopal got leprosy. And he had to move out of the village, and he started living on the bank of the Ganges under the tree. And then one day, Lord Chaitanya was passing by, and Chapal Gopal saw him. And Jai Shri Kodvanita May Purusha Ki Jai, Shri Tulsinath Maharaj Ki Jai, Giridhari Lal Ki Jai, Nishikhe Bhagavan Ki Jai. He saw Lord Chaitanya, and then he started praying to Lord Chaitanya. And he said, my dear Lord, please make me free from my sinful reactions. You are the supreme controller. And Srila Prabhupada explained in that purport that actually what he was praying for is to make him free from his disease. He didn't pray for his soul. He didn't pray to become a Vaishnava. He just was praying for his body. Please make me free from this leprosy. And the Lord Chaitanya said, if you want to be free from this disease, you need to go and beg forgiveness from Srinivasacharya. So eventually, Chapal Gopal, he went and asked forgiveness from Srinivasacharya, and then he was free from leprosy. So this is important to understand for devotees that not all diseases are product of our past sinful activities. Could be the product of our offenses to devotees, our offenses to deities. And by performing devotional service and by knowing this offense, that's why it's a very good idea to read Nectar of Devotion, because we will know about these offenses and how to avoid them. So by practicing devotional service, by knowing these offenses, by avoiding them, we will be free as much as possible from these offenses. And Nivedita was asking a very good question the other day. She was asking, because we see here that is saying that we don't know who is our friend, who is our enemy, who is false, and who is genuine. And the answer that I gave in that moment is that uh, we should be educated in Krishna consciousness to know what is real and what is false. We should be able to develop this discrimination and develop this knowledge. And I was giving an example, if you are a good doctor, you can recognize another good doctor. If you are not a doctor and somebody comes and talk any kind of rubbish, you may believe it because you don't know, it's not your field, you don't know anything about it. So in spiritual life, it's the same. If we are educated in spiritual life, if we read Prabhupada books, if we practice devotional service, and all this knowledge get revealed, and then we should be able to know what is real and what is false. Like this, Hiranyakashipu is talking so much philosophy, but who will take it seriously? It's just a demon. It's just a demon. So he may be talking very interesting point, but it's not a real friend. Real friend is somebody who is interested in our spiritual welfare. We see Hiranyakashipu was not interested in the welfare of Prahlada Maharaj. He wanted him to be a small demon, like him. He was not interested in his going back to Godhead in this life. So this discrimination should be there, should be developed by the devotee to know who is our friend and who is our enemy. Of course, the devotee is Ashatra Shatru. The devotee doesn't consider anyone as an enemy. But our enemy is always, most of the time, inside us, telling, do this thing and do that thing, or commit this offense, or commit this offense. Knowingly or unknowingly. So this is the target. This is the target. This is the enemy that is causing all this problem. So the question is how to overcome or how to defeat this demon. And the answer is by stop feeding it. If we feed our anger, if we feed our greed, if we will feed our bad habits, then they become stronger. But by feeding the Bhakti Vicha, like Prabhupada said in the purport, to give example, in the Nectar of the Devotion, Prabhupada was saying, if we feed the root, then automatically everything becomes satisfied. If you feed the stomach, you get energized. So by feeding the soul, by chanting Hare Krishna, by association with devotees, performing devotional service, then you become strong. And there is less chances than to get disease. And actually, devotees are healthier than normal people because devotees, they don't smoke, they don't drink, they don't eat meat. So this is a priority for a devotee to be in a healthy state of mind, in a healthy state of the body. Prabhupada said that first is health, second chanting, third is service, and then last one reading. Am I right? Did they say it in correct order? First health. Yeah. And then chanting. Okay. And then the last one is yeah, okay. So it's very important for the devotees to be healthy. So we should do everything in our capacity to be healthy. We see in the early days, devotees didn't care much about health. Devotees, they were just working, not taking, don't rest, with and that balance will bring us to our best state in which we can perform devotional service without the disturbance of the mind and the body, without the disturbance of the disease and any mental problems. So this is the things that Hiranyakashipu is talking about the different problems that we experience in this world, especially disease. But this can be minimized by performance devotional service, because devotional service will eradicate or will diminish some of the karma that is creating disease. And devotional service will also put us in the right frame of mind to be free from any disturbance created by, especially by the mind. One time they asked Srila Prabhupada, what is the cause of disease? And Prabhupada said that 90% of the diseases are created by the mind. Can you imagine 90%? This is huge. So it's not necessarily something that we eat or not necessarily something we do, but our mind is creating all these diseases in our body. So by developing the intelligence, the knowledge, reading Prabhupada's books, they said that reading is actually like feeding for the body. Reading is feeding the mind. We not only need to feed our body, but we also need to feed our mind by reading Srila Prabhupada's books. So we nourish by his wisdom. And in this way, there should be perfect balance. So we can practice devotional service without any disturbance. I'm going to finish here. I don't know if you had any question or comments.
You were talking about the pastime of Gopal Chapal and his offences to Srinivasacharya. It's interesting because he got leprosy on account of his offences, and then the purport also mentions if you have sexual relations with the wife of a superior, then you get leprosy. So obviously when you see someone with leprosy, you don't necessarily think they did this or they did that. There's so many different things that could be the cause of it. And I know someone made a mistake because they read, I think it was the Garuda Purana, which tells you all the different kind of like bodily manifestations of your sins of your lives. And someone criticised someone with a disability, saying that they were a thief in their last life. And it was a big wrong assumption because the person actually got himself in trouble with the law for saying such a thing, for making such a discrimination. So we have to be careful when we hear these things from the Shastra, that we don't start placing judgment on people and saying, oh, you're like this because of that, or we start reading the Vishnu Purana and other things and seeing, oh, your ears are lopsided because of this and because of that. You know, in Kali Yuga, everything's topsy-turvy and we can't. Yeah. I wonder if you've got any experience with that or anything you can share in that regard.
Yeah, it's a very good point. A very good point, yeah. Shastra, especially I think Garuda Purana has mentioned there is a whole list of things and the offenses and sins and their reactions. But not necessarily is not, that's not always the same case. Like Prabhupada was saying that people can get disease for different reactions, not necessarily for the same action, like having sex with this wife of a superior, that you will get leprosy. And there is different, there are so many skin diseases, so we don't know. Normal skin diseases are related to that particular sin, but could be something else. Because, everything, Kali Yuga, topsy-turvy, everything is, the karma is so complex and so that we never know. We never know. And in any case, we should not judge. We should not judge or make fun of anyone because of disability, because we can get the same in the future. You never know. There is this famous example, I think was Tata Bakra, was this that he walked in a very funny way. and people, some kids were making fun of him, and they got a very, very severe reaction. Of course, this is didn't happen in Kali Yuga, happened in another age, where the reactions were extremely severe for small mistakes. Luckily, we have in Kali Yuga, the reactions are not so severe. Otherwise, we will be all dead, practically. Because even in Satya Yuga, if you commit the offense in your mind, you will get the reaction. But in Kali Yuga, it doesn't apply. Luckily. So unless you actually physically or verbally commit the offense, you don't get the reaction. But in another ages, it was more. The law of nature were more strict, and the reactions were more severe. And we see the sages cursing each other for offending each other, and you become a crocodile, and you become an elephant, and you will be a donkey, and all these things happen. Nowadays, if you curse people, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Just as I say one time, nowadays people they curse each other, just blocking others on Facebook. If you offend me, I will block you on Facebook. This is the biggest curse we can offer in Kali Yuga. So yeah, this karma is very complex, and not all reactions come from the same sin, even though the reaction it could be two people with the same disease, but maybe the sin was different in each case, and we never know this. But in any case, we should not judge, and yeah, you should be careful.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, nice class. Just want to share something on the lines which we were talking about. My grandmother used to teach me, when we make fun of someone, maybe physical deformity or mental deformity, like saying, "Oh, you have a big nose," or you look weird, something like that. That's gonna happen to us as well in our next life. If we are laughing at someone for having some weird like arm or something like that, we will get the same thing in our next life.
Yeah.
So like that was her trying to teach me that we must not make fun of anybody, and we must not judge anybody whatever they're going through, and that's to them to think about. We should look upon ourselves and work on ourselves.
Yeah, and we experience this in this life as well. How often we laugh about someone or about anything, then we do exactly the same mistake, and we get the same reaction. So this is I gave example one time when I was walking with the Prabhu, with a friend on Sankirtan, and he hit his head with a light pole, and he fell on the floor and started bleeding. And I was so upset with him. I was chastising him. I said, "You're blind. How you cannot? You don't see where you walk." I was so heavy with him because it was a big disturbance. I need to walk around trying to get something to cure his head. He was bleeding. And next day we were walking together, and exactly the same thing happened to me. Unbelievable. I hit my head in a light pole, and I fell flat on the floor. Unbelievable. And with the same friend also, he could see that was my reaction as well. I was to add to the embarrassment. So yeah, we should be careful, because Paramat, my soul, we are listening and seeing what you are doing, and we will get this source. Yes, you want to say something?
It should be maybe someone's reaction to get something, but we shouldn't relish it or say, for example, we have some personal issue with the person and something misfortune befalls them. We shouldn't think, ha ha. I seen it once. One devotee, he opened the car bonnet and checking the radiator, and it came up in his face, the hot water, and he got scalded quite badly. And one devotee was laughing at him because they had some personal, differences. That day he went out on books and he got assaulted on the street. He got smacked on the face. I think that was Krishna giving him a chastisement. And immediately he took it that it was a reaction for laughing at the devotee in pain.
Yeah.
So if we see people in pain, we shouldn't be thinking serves them right, their karma, tough luck. We should be compassionate, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, a very good example. Okay, I think we should finish here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.